Hi everyone, it's Ash from FPL Hints, here to discuss free hit in Double Game Week 34. Before we begin, if you're able to like, share and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. And just for full disclosure, I wasted my free hit chip in that infamous blank game week not that long ago, and I ended up scoring 13 points on the bench, 12 points on the pitch for my lowest ever FPL score. Am I bitter about it? Yes, I am. But the reason why I want to make this video in particular is that I've seen so many free hit chip illustrations and actual drafts on social media that they all pretty much look the same. And I kind of feel that a lot of FPL content creators are missing out on the nuances with the free hit chip at this time of the season. The reality is that many FPL managers might be chasing rank, many FPL managers might be protecting rank, and many might want to just kind of get by until a future double game week in 37. And a lot of the questions that come to mind is this the optimal time to use the free hit chip? And if so, what is the optimal free hit team as well? So what I'm going to be doing is just discussing whether it's even viable to use it in double game week 34, if you still have it, because of course we've got the double in 37 as well. And with that in mind, if you were to activate it, I'll explore potential options depending on what you're essentially doing, what your strategy is, i.e. if you're a chaser, if you're someone who's protecting rank or something in between. But before I do that, I also want to share some polling data as well. So earlier today, I asked, before making any transfers and prior to activating any chips, how many doublers do you have in your squad? And to my surprise, at least 43% had 8 to 10 already at hand, and 11 plus was the case for just under 16%. So you could say that well over a majority had at least 8 doublers without using a chip. And then it got me thinking, well, if they've already got 8 doublers, then surely they're going to be getting a lot of players on the free hit chip that are exactly the same as those that they've got in their current squad as well. So where does the variation come to mind? And it poses the question that if you've already got a healthy number of doublers for 34, then surely is it worth considering it in 37? That's something that I just wanted to put out there because, like, you're looking at the numbers there, almost 60% have 8 or more. You could, if you had 2 free transfers and a -4, you could field 11. And of course, there are those FPL managers who've probably wildcarded a week or two before, and they're hoping to field 15 doublers and then bench boost in 34 as well. And talking of other chips in particular, so it's clear that just under half of managers that I polled have no more chips left. And the plurality of managers with a chip are going to free hit in 34, hence why we're seeing so many drafts on our timelines. And also there is that minority who are going to triple captain or wildcard, less than 7%. And then you've got those bench boosters that I've mentioned as well, just over 10%. And like I've said, they've already got the wildcard well and truly active a week or two before. So that kind of sets a scene whereby clearly in some quarters it seems to be that the free hit chip is considered optimal for double game week 34, and definitely that would be the case if you used it in blank, in the blank that happened a few weeks ago. So there's a lot to be gained to be using it for this upcoming double game week. But just to remind ourselves of the doubles as well, before I begin some illustrations for free hit as well. So we can see that Arsenal have got Wolves away and Chelsea at home in 34. And of course, Arsenal's defeat Arsenal's defeat at the Emirates against Aston Villa over the weekend will certainly affect the players in different ways. They've got the important match against Bayern Munich as well on top. So it remains to be seen if they can pick themselves up and maintain momentum, because after all, they literally need to win every single match between now and the end of the season and hope that Man City slip up along the way. So Chelsea at home, no doubt, will be tricky, as would Wolves at Molineux. And of course, straight after that, they've got Tottenham in 35, and then they're going to be going to Old Trafford in 37 as well. So if they've got the morale for it, they certainly would need to be winning these upcoming Premier League matches as well. Then you've got Bournemouth, who are away to Aston Villa and away to Wolves. And we know that when it comes to Bournemouth and their attacking prowess, it's literally the Dom Solanke show for the most part. And with Bournemouth, as they are in the table right now, 13th, safe from relegation, you could say. But the question is, are they on the beach already? And then we've got Crystal Palace with West Ham at home and Newcastle United at home. And many would have pondered with Palace under Roy Hodgson previously that they would have been difficult fixtures. But then, of course, Palace rocked up to Anfield and shocked Liverpool with that win against the odds. So perhaps all of a sudden these two double fixtures might somewhat become more favourable to FPL managers than was the case a week ago. And you've got Everton, Forest at home, Liverpool at home. But of course, Everton have been suffering from the additional points penalty, and also they are just struggling for form at the moment and just got trashed by Chelsea during Monday Night Football. You've got Liverpool, who again, psychological blow for them with a very unexpected defeat at home. They got Fulham away and Everton away. Now, compared to Arsenal, same number of points, but you'd argue that apart from Tottenham at home and Aston Villa away, like Liverpool's fixtures are probably slightly less challenging than Arsenal's. And of course, Liverpool are having a deficit in their Europa League match as well, so they might potentially crash out of that competition. But again, as is the case for Arsenal, Liverpool would have to hope that Man City slip up along the way. So it's not like mathematically, it's not out of the equation right now. But of course, we know how, with this business end of the season, how Man City are just known to finish off these matches in their own imitable way under Pep. And then the other two double fixtures, you've got Sheffield United with Burnley at home and United at Old Trafford. But unfortunately, just due to the Sheffield United's overall form, I think apart from Brereton Diaz, there might be questions on who else you could really buy. You wouldn't certainly want to buy a Sheffield United defender. And then with Wolves, Arsenal at home, Bournemouth at home as well. So that's another fixture with two home games as well that are worth factoring in. So those are the fixtures as a reminder. And I'm going to start off with illustration number one. And illustration number one is for those that are looking to protect rank. And for those that are looking to protect rank, you'll be in the upper echelons of FPL. You've already got double Arsenal defence, no doubt. So you've got Saliba and Gabriel most likely. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you want a bit of variation. So you've got Ben White instead, and also your goalkeeper will be David Raya. So get him in as well. Otherwise, you'll almost pick the same team as you had for your actual FPL team. Let's also get Virgil van Dijk in, someone who you may not necessarily have in a lot of the teams in the upper echelons. I know that he actually was a popular pick for his previous double game week, but he's lost value as Liverpool have struggled to keep clean sheets. And just to bring up his stats, he's actually not kept a clean sheet since game week 27. So it's just the very fact that you'd want triple Liverpool for the double but you wouldn't obviously want more than one defender. And if the risk element wasn't there with Trent, and if he was starting matches more regularly, you'd probably choose him over Virgil van Dijk. But due to the X-Mins issue for Trent right now, you can go for Virgil van Dijk. And then another defender who you'd no doubt go for, injury permitting, I'll go to Wolves, and it's Ait Nouri, who was playing in a relatively advanced role before his injury. And of course, he completely missed out in game week 33, but let's just add him in here as another option, and also to unlock funds. So you'd say that they are your three starting defenders, and then onto your premium midfielders for double game week 34. No doubt you've already got Saka, so you'd simply restore him. You've already got Mohamed Salah, so you'd simply restore him as well. And of course, you're not going to go all out in getting every single double game week 34 player if you're protecting rank. So you'd look for one or two single game week players as well. And with that in mind, if Foden is fully fit, get some minutes midweek, you'd expect him to start against Brighton in single game week 34 for him as well. You'd need at least one Man City player for sure. And if there is one you're going to get, hoping that he won't be rotated, it has to be Phil Foden. And just coming on to another single game week player as well, if you're looking to protect rank, someone who is in sensational form of late, has a very generous fixture, and it's Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes, who really can't be ignored. He's one of those players that you'd probably think, you know what, I'm not going to buy him necessarily now, but the form really can't be ignored. Look, 15 points against Bournemouth, 9 against Liverpool, 8 against Chelsea, 11 against Everton, and then even got some returns against Man City and Fulham as well prior to that. I can't really comment what that form is specifically down to, if it's positional change or if he's just stepped up to the plate. But clearly, as a free hit player, definitely worth considering, and gives you some variation as well, because for those that don't have a free hit, they may not go out of their way to buy him because he's a single game week player. And then just with that in mind, so I've mentioned that we've got our double Arsenal defense, and we've got Saka in there as well. Let's just come on to the strikers for the moment as well, with this quote unquote safer protecting rank illustration. So we'll go back to the forwards, and no doubt Dom Solanke would be up there as a option. And another player that is worth considering, whether you buy him as a starter or a sub one, it's Wolves' very own 5.6 forward right there, who was injured for a while, but it almost seems as if when Dacuna does play, he seems to haul. 12 points against Nottingham Forest, 17 points against Chelsea prior to that. He's definitely one worth having in the squad at the very least. So I'll add him in there as well as a potential option. And then just to get triple Liverpool in as well, have to get Darwin. He has been starting like quite a few games of late, and no doubt his minutes do get managed as well. And looking at like these previous games, going back a fair bit, he's pretty much started every game since game week 28. Last time he was a sub and started from the bench was in game week 27. So you'd expect him at the very least to start one of those matches and to get a healthy number of minutes in the other match as well. So that is the Liverpool triple up, which you'd absolutely want to get. And also the triple Arsenal options as well, Raya, White and Saka. And then just looking at the funds, that's 21.2 million that's now in the bank from 4 players that are still available to pick as well. So with this illustration, we'll go to Crystal Palace as well. So just going here. I'll pick Henderson as my other goalkeeper. Just get him here, be all the way down. There he is. And just so that we can save some funds as well, we wouldn't necessarily want to start them probably as a sub 2 or a sub 3. I'll get Brantwaite in as well. And probably get a Crystal Palace defender in as well. So in we come Mitchell. That gives us 8 million still to spend. So let's have a look at who's available for the remaining slot. In fact, let's just see who the popular picks are as well. So you got Diaz, who we can't get, of course, because we're locked out. Got Palmer as well, just looking at him, who's got, I believe, Arsenal at the Etihad. So might want to risk potentially not having him. Can't get Havertz because we've got triple Arsenal as well. Just going further down. Garnacho could be a potential option. Don't seem to be many other options. And of course, Spurs completely blank in double game week 34 as well. So let's just look at the most safest pick. It probably might be Palmer as a 5th option in midfield. If you want to just protect your rank. So let's get him in. So that's 2.1 million in the bank with this like so-called protecting rank illustration. You've got a lot of players here with high effective ownership as well. You're really looking at a 3-5-2 formation. You just need to work out, is it Kuna who's going to be your sub 1? Would you push it for a 3-4-3? Palmer sub 1 could be an option as well, but that is like a relatively safe free hit illustration for those that are looking to protect rank. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go for a more extreme free hit illustration now. So this is for those that are just rapidly chasing rank and have got nothing to lose really. So in this illustration, let's go to the Arsenal players first and foremost. And you saw how we had double Arsenal defense. So what we're going to do in this instance is actually go for double Arsenal attack first of all. We're not going to get Saka. We're going to go for Odegaard. We're going to go for Havertz. And let's pick Ben White as a defender as well. And then on to Liverpool. We're not going to get any Liverpool defenders. We'll go for Mohamed Salah. We'll go for... I want to pick Jota. I don't know how likely he is to start. Let's pick Luis Diaz. And let's pick Darwin Nunez as well as triple Liverpool attack. So very heavy on those red shirts there already from the get-go. And in terms of forwards, let's just see who's trending right now in terms of forwards. If we can catch any differentials from the pack. Of course, we've got Isak with his generous fixture against Crystal Palace, albeit it's at Selhurst Park. I'd pick Wolves 5.6 million forward Cunha, and just have a look at Watkins as well. Not really differential. He's got Bournemouth at home, and his ownership has somewhat dropped of late as well. But I'm actually going to go further down and just look at Højlund, who has been starting regularly, albeit he hasn't really scored much of late. I recall that period from game week 19 to 25, just couldn't stop scoring. So as a really maverick pick, probably might be a sub 1, but let's get Højlund in there. And if I'm able to make it fit, I'm going to also put in Bruno Fernandes. Again, single game week player, but do you really want to get triple Palace as starters or triple Everton as starters when you've got Man United with Sheffield United at Old Trafford? That's something that is worth considering. So now I've got 31 million in the bank. All those red shirts are filling up the void there. And if we just go to goalkeepers now, don't want to pick Jordan Pickford after the thrashing against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So let's say Henderson has got the 2 home matches, and looking for a cheap goalkeeper here as well, if I can find one. I'll pick Dubravka for now, but I might need to go for someone slightly more cheaper. So I've got 22.5 million now to spend. And looking at the defenders, I'm locked out of getting Virgil van Dijk and Gabriel, but I could double up on Palace defence. So in he comes, Anderson. And just can't really justify Sheffield United, like I've mentioned. I'll try and get Ait Nouri in this one as well, actually. So let me restore him. So I've got 13.1 million with my remaining 2 players with this riskier draft. So Senesi, I'll just put him in there. It's got a lot of attacking prowess. If I was being really super risky, I might even get rid of Diaz and get Trent Alexander-Arnold in. But is that... not sure if he's going to start. He barely got half a match against Crystal Palace. But you know what? Let's do that, because I did say this is the riskier one. So in comes Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I've got, 8 million in the bank once again. Look at the midfielders. Sorted by 8 million. Who's coming in? Can't get Diaz now, locked out. Might even consider Eze as a option. See who else we've got here. So let's just say Eze, because Eze's got 2 home games, and it's got, again, with Crystal Palace, you could say that in many respects, just like Bournemouth, they might be not really on the beach in the same ways, still 8 points off relegation. You'd expect them that they'd want to go out and win these remaining matches just to steer clear. So with this riskier draft, I've got 2 million still left in the bank. Darwin, Cunha, Hoyland. Probably go for a 3-5-2 here. Hoyland might be the sub 1 just due to the lack of form. Start Eze, Havertz, Odegaard, Fernandes. Of course, Saka is a notable miss here. If I really wanted to tweak this, and I can afford it, I could actually get rid of Havertz, and I can actually get Saka in. Let me just change the amount. If Saka comes in, so it's not as risky, but then we've got the money. Why not get Saka in? That's a very loaded midfield. Fernandes, Odegaard, Saka, Salah, Eze. All of them have doubles except for Fernandes. My strikers in a 3-5-2. Both Darwin and Cunha have got doubles, and then I'd obviously start White, Alexander-Arnold. Riskier pick. Might want to downsize to Van Dijk if I got concerns of him starting. And then I would pick Ait Nouri, and then I'd start Henderson in goal. So with this riskier one, 0.4 million in the bank, again, if you've got the funds to get Saka in on your free hit alongside Mohamed Salah, with Fernandes, Odegaard, make it work. Makes total sense, and Darwin Nunez as well. And I say this is a riskier one because there's no Man City cover at all, and there's no Palmer in this team either. So it's heavily skewed. Just looking at the doublers in the 3-5-2, Fernandes would be the only single game week player. And if I go back to the other draft that I had in this, Fernandes and Foden would be the only single players. There's 9 here, and there are 10 in this draft here. So let's just do one more. And in this free hit draft, going to try and have a mixture of sensible picks and also some differentials as well. So let's just say I don't have double Arsenal defense right now, so I want Saliba and I'll retain Gabriel in my draft. And let's just say, like in my own team, I don't have Saka. So let's get Saka in. Let's get Mohamed Salah in. Let's get Odegaard in. We'll get Bruno Fernandes in. I can't really look beyond him. Have one single. If I'm going to get one single game week player for double 34, it has to be Bruno Fernandes. And let's just make sure I've got triple Arsenal. And in terms of my triple up, let's get Virgil van Dijk, safer pick. There we go. And I would want Darwin. Oh, got too many Arsenal players. So I would want, let's get rid of Odegaard. So I would want Darwin Nunez in my hybrid illustration. So in he comes. There he is. And in this instance, I'll probably pick Haaland. I won't go for Foden. I'll pick Haaland. I'd expect Haaland to start against Brighton. I'd be very shocked if its minutes are completely gone. So Haaland in this hybrid draft comes in. And just looking at some of the other players are trending. You know what? I might even go for Watkins potentially, but I'll have a think of that. Actually, no, I'd go for Solanke. I really can't look beyond having Solanke because he's got a double game week. So in he comes as well. Just onto the defenders once again. Looking at the players that are popular at this moment in time. Can't get Ben White because I've got Gabriel and Saliba with my double. I will get Anderson in, and I will also restore Ait Nuri. So now I've got four slots to fill, 16.1 million. So I need to be very careful with how I spend the funds here. So with goalkeepers, I'm gonna go for Dubravka as my sub 1. I'll pick if I can get Sarr in. Probably can't get Sarr. I'll pick Henderson as my goalkeeper in this intermediate draft. So I've got 7.5 million. Don't think that I've got enough there. So let's just quickly go to midfielders. I need a super cheap midfielder for this double. Let's just pick Mainu, probably be a sub 3 in this instance. So I'm 3.1 million short. I think I might need to rejig this. So I think it's Haaland has really brought it down here. So let's get rid of Mainu. Let's get rid of Virgil van Dijk. Let's just bump this up. I'll get Eze in. So I've now got 7.9 million. I'll just pick some super cheap defender. So this will obviously be a sub 3. So I'll get probably someone who can get minutes. Charlie Taylor still getting minutes. Let's have a quick look. Yes, he is. So pick Charlie Taylor as a sub 3. And 4 million is still not enough. So I'm going to downsize someone else as well. So I've got 3 strikers, Haaland, Darwin, and Solanke. And I need a cheap midfielder. I will go back to Mainu, if I can just do that. So I've got Anderson for Newcastle United, who has been not starting, but the odd match here and there. So I could get him just to make it happen. He'd be my sub 3 in this instance. Bit worried though, if I've got Anderson and Taylor, still 0.2 million short here as well. So, in fact, I'm going to just reduce the goalkeepers. I'm not going to have Dubravka in goal. I'll just go for goalkeepers. 4.2 million. Is Turner still starting? I'm not sure. Let's just get Turner in, just so that I've got some sort of cover here. And that should work. So 0.2 million in the bank, bit of a tight squeeze. So in this draft, I've got a 3-4-3 of Solanke, Darwin, and Haaland. My midfielders are Saka, Mohamed Salah, Eze, and Fernandes. And then I'm starting Gabriel, Saliba, and one of Anderson and Ait-Nouri. And of course, Henderson in goal. I just need to hope that Henderson doesn't get injured in this draft. And yeah, Taylor would obviously be a sub 3. Anderson would be a sub 2. And then, yeah, Ait-Nouri or one of Anderson, between Ait-Nouri and him would be a sub 1 in this instance. So there you have it. So just as a reminder, here was draft 1, the so-called safer draft for those that are protecting rank, whereby you've got many of the popular picks, but you've got 1 or 2 differentials as well. Then you've got the riskier draft, whereby there aren't that many high-owned players, except for the ones that have the doubles, but you've got more riskier players, you could say, albeit like in the case of Trent Alexander-Arnold, it would be fitness permitting as well. And you've got the likes of Højlund in this draft as well. And just going on to the final one, which we've just shown, 3-4-3, double Arsenal defence. I think from all the ones that we had double Arsenal defence in the first one and in the third one, and we've got Eze in this one, as well as the second one. But this is the only draft where we've managed to accommodate Haaland in as well, into the starting 11. So there you have it. The whole point of this exercise, like I've said at the start, is to demonstrate that FPL is full of nuances, and don't just copy the first free hit team that you see on your social timeline from like a random popular FPL content creator. Have a think at what is it that your FPL team needs. Are you chasing rank? Are you protecting rank? Or are you somewhere in between? And hopefully, once you're able to figure that out, then you'll decide whether it's even worthwhile activating the free hit chip in 34. For vast majority of FPL managers, is probably the most optimal time, because you'd expect there to be even more rotation for double game week 37. But then if you've already got 11 or 10 doublers with one free transfer, then you could surely save that free hit for 37, or you could even save it for the final game week of the season as well. I hope that helps you making an informed decision ahead of double game week 34. Take care and all the best.